Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the latest release from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Okavango Safari palette. This is launching on Tuesday, May 30th, just after midnight in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. If you're not sure when that is, you can always just do a quick little Google search. However, they were very, very clear that this is not a limited edition item, which means if it sells out, or in my opinion, when it sells out, because I do think this will be a very popular item, it will be restocked. As you can see, this is a 15 pan eyeshadow palette. It will be priced at $42 US. And starting with this launch, I actually have an affiliate code with Nomad. Previously, I had a coupon code, but I didn't earn any commission off of it. And they offered me a commission status, which I'm very excited about, very thankful for. It's just my first name, Amanda. If you want to use my affiliate code, it will save you 10% on most things on the Nomad site. There are always little exclusions here and there, so just keep an eye on your cart total. And huge thank you to everybody who does decide to support the channel by using my affiliate code. I know it probably doesn't seem like that big of a deal to you, but it really is a big deal to me. I know my peers feel the same way, so I genuinely really appreciate it. So thank you for all of your support of me, of this channel, keeping these crazy palette videos going. And today I'm going to give you as much info as I possibly can about this new palette. I'm going to show you close-ups. We're going to do finger and brush swatches. I have just a handful of comparisons. And then I also will show you how I created this eye look. And this was sort of a palette bingo tutorial as well. So we got a lot of ideas going on all in one video. Let's start with the basics and just a close-up look at this palette, the packaging, the shades, and then we'll get into swatches and tutorial. First up, let's look at the outer packaging. We can see very, very different artwork on the box versus the palette itself. So let's look at the outer carton, the cardboard box that the palette comes in. The stunning artwork has a landscape. It has sort of a sunset or sunrise vibes to it. We've got a hippo. We've got a little bit of nods to other animals here on the foil details. Nomad never misses with their details. They have always so many special, unique touches. The shades are pictured on the back here, and there's a bunch of information, including the inspiration and the fact that this palette is both cruelty-free and vegan. So for all my vegan friends out there, this one is safe for you. Now we're going to move over to the palette itself. It has this fuzzy packaging. It's softer and not quite as velvet feeling as the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, but it definitely has that soft fuzzy packaging. That's what I always think of are the ABH palettes. We have an animal print here, and then on the back, significantly less info than the box. So if you're interested in that info, you definitely want to hang on to your outer carton box. But we do get the wildlife trust that they're supporting, the cruelty-free and vegan information, as well as the expiration information. Then opening up the palette, this is a magnetic palette. It does have a mirror inside, and then we see all of these beautiful shades here laid out in 3 rows of 5. Each row across has a mixture of finishes and is sort of monochromatic. We have a warm brown row on top, green row in the middle, and then a more grungy, deeper-ish neutrals across the bottom there. Then each column is either matte, shimmer, matte. And we do have a lot of details pressed into the pans as well. This is a signature of the Nomad palettes. I'm going to give you a really close-up look at the pans here so that you can see those little details. This palette has 9 matte shades and 6 shimmers. Not exactly an even split, but pretty close to half and half. So there is a great balance of finishes in here. And we have these special shimmers that have the animal print style swirls. Now let's take a look at the eyeshadow swatches. We have finger swatches on top, brush swatches below. As always, I don't use any primer. I don't dampen the brush. I just use a dry, flat eyeshadow brush for the brush swatches. The only shade that I really struggled with was the deepest bright green called Chief's Island. Otherwise, I found these to be incredibly consistent, very, very smooth. These eyeshadows, like all of the other Nomad palettes that I've tried of late, layer wonderfully. They blend really nicely on the eye. They work well together. I feel like they don't look as impressive in swatch as they do when they're actually performing on the eyelid. Don't get me wrong, these swatches do look really nice, but they don't have that super rich, inky, opaque look in a dry swatch that some other shadows may have. But these absolutely perform, layer, their wear time, all of that. When it counts, these deliver. Let's do a handful of comparisons now, starting with this very recently released Oden's Eye Stone and Rock palette. I think these are a different take on a similar idea. The Oden's Eye palette is definitely a lot more green and not so much neutral, not so much brown. So I think similar ideas, but not really dupes. And in a different way, I think this Hela palette, also from Oden's Eye, kind of has a similar idea, but Hela is much more colorful, a lot brighter, maybe even some more similar-ish shades between these two than Stone and Rock, but overall not really getting the same eye looks out of these two palettes. And lastly, what I think is the best comparison is the Melt, Rust, and Gemini palettes. Now, Melt is one of those eyeshadow formulas where the shadows look like that really intense swatch. I also like how the Melt shadows perform on the eye, but I do think this is the best comparison that I came up with for this video. Now let's move into the eye look. Like I said, I did this sort of palette bingo style. I used a random number generator to give me 5 numbers between 1 and 15, and then I just picked those out of the palette, counting across. So I got shade 3, which is Elusive Leopards, shade 9, which is NILE Crocodiles, then 14, which is Mighty Buffaloes. At this point, I was really hoping that I wasn't going to somehow manage to get all shimmer shades. Next, I got shade 5, Pack of Wild Dogs. And the last color, I just decided I wanted to try to shoot for another colorful shade. And I got number 6, MOREMI Game Reserve. Not quite as colorful, but this palette is a lot more neutral leaning, so I'm happy with the shade selection that I got. Priming my lids first with my new favorite primer, the ULTA Matte Eye Primer. Then I'm going to use Elusive Leopards on this big fluffy blending brush from Singe Beauty. And I'm not being too precise because I know I'm going to be layering and building these shadows quite a bit. Then using Pack of Wild Dogs on the very outer part of my lid and just sort of mapping out where I want the deeper part of my eye look to be, and then blending the edges back out with Elusive Leopards. Added a little bit of that brown to the lower lash line as well. Then I used this Game Reserve shade just with my finger because I wanted a really intense application with this matte, and packed it all over my lid and just a little bit along that lower lash line as well to sort of mimic the look from the eyelid on the lower lash line. Now I'm taking NILE Crocodiles and Mighty Buffaloes on 2 different fingers. That way I can blend them together without mixing them together. So putting the green color on the inner 2/3-ish of the eye, and then that Mighty Buffalo metallic brown on the very outer part, and just sort of going back and forth to layer those together. And I also went back with Elusive Leopards and Pack of Wild Dogs and just did a little bit more blending in that crease area. Like I said, I didn't have to be too precise at the beginning because I went back and sort of refined everything at the end, blended out the lower lash line with a lot of that olivey khaki shade. And then I added some of the ColourPop Wildcat liner to my lower waterline, curled my lashes, and added the Lancome IDOLE mascara. That's my finished look. I know it probably sounded like a lot when I was describing it, but this was super easy. It only took me a few minutes to put together, and I love the way this turned out. I probably wouldn't have chosen these shades together if it wasn't for the palette bingo. That's why I love doing that type of thing. Definitely a win. I love the way this look turned out. I really, really like this palette. I like the way all of these shades work together. It's no secret, I'm a big fan of Nomad palettes in general. I really like their formula. There are some eyeshadow formulas that I think swatch better than they perform, and that's not the case with these Nomad shadows. I think the swatches look pretty good, but then they look really great on the eye. Formula-wise, I just think these are beautiful. I always feel like they do such a good job thoughtfully laying out their shadows. I like the way they've done mattes, shimmers, mattes, shimmers, mattes, and then also a medium warm brown row, a green row, and then more of like a grungier neutral row. I like the little animal print swirl shimmers. I always like their imprints. I always like their inspiration. Really the only thing that I don't love about this palette is this kind of velvety outer packaging. It's not terrible, it's just not my favorite. This does tend to get kind of worn out and dirty for me, but it's not a deal breaker. Also, I'm not like a huge animal print fan, but I know a lot of people are, and I feel like this is really going to appeal to those people. I have a couple friends in mind actually who really love animal print, and I think they're gonna love this palette even more because of it. So, you know, I'm not hating, it's not a deal breaker, it's just really the only thing that I don't love about this. Overall, I think the color story is brilliant. It's interesting neutrals, it's great performing shadows. It's definitely something a little different for them. They didn't really do much in the way of neutrals in their palette releases last year, so I'm happy to see a very neutrally palette that is still interesting, still giving us some colorful looks. I like the ratio of mid-tone, some brighter and some deeper shades. I like the ratio of mattes to shimmers. I, all in all, really love this. I love my look. I'm going to be traveling in a couple weeks, and I'm definitely going to be taking this palette with me because I think it's going to be just such a reliable performer. I really enjoy this. I would love to hear what you think about this palette. Is it on your wish list? Is it on your radar? Are you, like me, excited to see some interesting neutral? Do you feel like maybe you already have these shades in your collection? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Let's try that again, shall we? Shh. Filming was not on my schedule today, but I was really excited about this palette, so I had to squeeze one in. Been working like crazy and actually kind of like overworking, and here I am filming a video when it's supposed to be only an editing day, so that pretty much sums it up. It's a lot. I'm doing fine though. Kind of. Not really, but I am. It's fine. Is it Okavango or Okavango? Okay, I said it right. Right? Okavango. When in doubt, Google it out. Okavango. Okavango. That's what I said, right? I think I said that. I hope so. I'm also going to link the Wilderness Wildlife Trust website. Make sure you check that out. They protect the majestic animals and communities of the safari. Nice. I like it. Okay, I got some other stuff I gotta do. I love this eye look. This liner in the lower waterline really made this look for me. I don't know who I am being like, oh, the eyeliner, but people change. What can I say? Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you, and I hope that you're having a great day, and I hope that you're feeling top-notch. And if you're not, that's okay. We've all been there. I've been there. And I'm here to support you, and it'll get better eventually. And I love your face, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye!